Rothrock Trail Challenge, 11.5 miler today, up near Tussey Mountain. Finished first overall in an hour, 59 minutes, and 30 seconds. It was right where I was expecting to be. At least that's what I set up my Garmin Pace Pro for 2 hours, so I pretty much hit the mark. Some miles were a little bit faster, and a lot of the miles were a little bit slower. I would say the vast majority were a lot slower than I was expecting. I think I needed to keep like a 10-minute pace, but I was definitely struggling a little bit today. My legs were tired from yesterday's Glacier Ridge 50K, and I didn't really have the energy, the drive, top end speed to really do much today. Wasn't expecting much. It was going in, this was going to be like a training run for me. Doing a 50K, then this is going to give me that back-to-back days of hard training, because this course is pretty brutal. It's, like I said, 11.5 miles, give or take a tenth for the short course. They have a 25K as well, but I just did the short course. That was sort of my plan going in when I signed up. I had like 2,800 feet. Yeah, 2,833 I believe was my elevation for the course. So pretty significant. There is like a 1,000-foot climb to start the race from mile 1 to 1.9 range. And it's not really runnable at all. I mean, I guess you could if you really wanted to burn your legs out, but for the most part, it's not. Because if you start going really fast on that uphill, or actually anywhere on the course, you're going to end up tripping and falling and getting hurt. But overall, it's a good race. It's very technical. It's very hard, and it is a nice challenge. Kind of under the radar type race. There should be a lot more people that do this race, but there really isn't, and I think people are just in general afraid of the hardness of this race. It is marked very well. You shouldn't get lost, but as I say that, I also have my navigation on my watch because I have the GPX file, so I guess it's a little bit easier to say when I have that. But I wasn't really looking at it at all. Maybe like 2 or 3 times I just happened to glance, like when the next turn was going to be. But other than that, I didn't really use the navigation at all. I just set up my Pace Pro so I could try to stay within that 2 hours. But actually today I didn't even use that at all either. I might have looked at the same thing as I did for navigation, like just 2 or 3 times, because I wasn't really worried about anybody around me during the race. I was more focused on the elevation chart and how much mileage and stuff like that I had already done than anything today. So yeah, sometimes I use the features a lot more, sometimes I don't. Today was just one of those days where I really didn't. It was a little cold this morning. It's 53 right now. It was maybe low 40s. I don't know if it was like in the 30s when I arrived, but I knew I was going to get hot very quickly. Sort of planned for that. Actually just wore my naked waist belt today, which last couple races you heard me, it's what I should have been wearing like yesterday. So I did plan smart for that. Of course, with 11.5 miles, do I really need a hydration vest? 2 9-ounce bottles should be sufficient for me, especially with like 3 or maybe there's 4 today, 8 stations. So I really didn't need to carry much, because they were spaced out pretty good within the course. Did wear a shirt and shorts over my compression to start the race, but about 2 miles in, the shirt came off along with my shorts. Just stripped down the middle of the race. I had to, because I was just getting too hot and sweaty. I knew if I kept them on, I was going to regret it. And as I was taking my shirt off, I ended up breaking my damn headphones. I snapped them in half. So that sucked, and I had to deal with that the rest of the race. Yeah. The race itself, well, I'll say I was a little bit tired this morning. My knee hurt all last night. My left knee, like the ligaments around the actual, like, I don't know, what is it, the patella or whatever it's called, like the circle part of your knee, like all those ligaments were hurting from yesterday. I don't know if it was an overusage or tweaked it. I tried to muscle sculpt it a little bit, but it really didn't work. I put some of that Penetrix stuff on it, which didn't really help at all either. My chest was still hurting, like I would say like my upper abs. I don't know if it was from the straps on my vest or if I pulled something, or just, you know, overuse, swinging my arms and stuff like that from yesterday, or just me and my fat ass just bouncing around too much, just overworking and making that abs a little bit sore. I was just really tired this morning. The drive up sucked. It was really rough. Really should have probably even got out of bed, but I did anyhow. And I'm going to say I'm glad I came, because I mean, overall I had a good time. Obviously I won, so I'm glad I came and won. But there was points where I'm like, oh, this was just so stupid. I was like, you're just going to hurt yourself and probably do more damage than anything. It probably was a negative training day for me, just because I really didn't have the energy or the legs or the freshness. But whatever, it's a good training back-to-back day on, like, the aspects of running on like tired legs and stuff like that. So even though it might have beat up my body a little bit, it was just gets body used to it a little bit more, and then recover a little bit better. So the race starts across the road from the ski resort, Tessie Mountain Ski Resort, at this one pavilion, and then we run the road for maybe a half mile before we hit the trail. Don't ask me what the trail names are. I don't know offhand. Then you're casually going up a little bit, and then you hit that uphill part for like from like a mile to a mile 0.9, and that's that 1,000-foot climb. There is some rocks as soon as you get on the trail, like smooth, bigger rocks. They were very slick today. So what I did is I tried to, I zigzagged back and forth on the trail, side to side, trying to run in some dirt where it was available, because when I was stepping on the rocks, I could just feel the lugs like slipping out from underneath me on my Peregrines 13s. And I was like, well, if this is going to be a precursor to the rest of the race, this is just going to suck ass. It did, not going to lie. Trail shoes were probably not the right choice for this race. You're almost better off wearing road shoes with like heavy traction. You know, you don't want like a carbon plated shoe for this race where it's going to get tore up. You want like a road shoe that has rubber the whole way from front to back, with like a nice thick rubber and a little depth to it. Trail shoes, unless they're really like have a lot of lugs or something like that, you don't want like a Peregrine 13 lugs or anything like that, like a football or baseball type spike lugs on this course with these rocks, because you're not going to get the traction that you need on the rocks as you would like a road shoe that could just contour around the rocks a lot better than a trail shoe. So this is one of those instances where it sort of bucks the trend that, you know, you need trail shoes for trail races. This in particular, you should wear a nice thick rubber road shoe, because there's rocks the entire race, mile by mile, step by step. To me, in my opinion, this is the rockiest race that I do or have done, and it by far exceeds any other race that I've done in PA when it comes to rocks per step, per mile, whatever you want, distance you want to say. So you do have to get used to it, because you're really not going to turn and burn too much on this course. There's a little bit, maybe 2 miles total in the 11.5 course that you could actually run, but a lot of it, it's avoiding rocks and even like roots at times. So you just have to be careful in general what you're doing. You could easily trip, fall, and get hurt very badly if you're not paying attention, if you don't have good feet, for just going too fast, or if you look off to the left or right and try to turn back, you're going to be taking a nice tumble. A lot of people fell today. I myself fell twice. Once on a smooth, big faced rock where I just sort of like slid off to the side. Now sort of did like a baseball slide off of it. And the second one, I just clipped the rock and went forward a little bit. Just busted my knee that was actually hurting before the race. You know, it had to be that one, and then scraped my wrist area up a little bit. So I did get lucky with that. I don't know. I was pretty much alone for the 25K the whole race. I didn't see any other 25Kers the entire time. I did see 5. I didn't see any other level 0.5 milers during the race. I did see about 5 25Kers during the race. I saw the, you know, obviously the top 3 finishers, and then 1 or 2 other people. I lost first place at the top of the first climb. After that, he was gone. I had I think the guy who finished like 4th and 6th actually passed me around 4 or so, 5. That was right after like the first aid station going uphill. And then the other 2 that I saw on the course were bombing the downhill before the next aid station, and they were just flying down, and I was just stepped off to the side, let them go, because if they're not in the same race as me, I don't give a shit. Plus, I'm not going to be bombing that downhill, because I did not have the stabilizer muscles in my legs at all working today. They were just spent. So I'm not trying to do anything stupid, trying to play it smart for, you know, later in the race and everything else that could happen. If I got passed at all today by 11.5 milers, I probably would have pulled way back and given up a little bit, because if I wasn't going to win today, I really didn't care too much. Like, I figured if I got passed and put into 2nd place, I was going to pull back just to save myself and use it as even, like, not even a training run, but a really easy recovery type, I guess, training run per se. Hard to explain, but whatever. I was going to pull way back. But yeah, they bombed the downhill. I just let them go. But then right away after that, because this was near the end of it, we hit this like road section. It was really the only road section of the race. We do cross a couple of times roads themselves, but we run on the road for a couple tenths. Once we hit that flat on the road, I took off again, passed them both back up. But then the one guy passed me up the hill. I don't know what happened to the other guy. He just sort of like disappeared at that aid station. I think he had GI issues or something somebody said later on. which is why I never saw him again. But after that, I didn't see anybody else on the course, so that was like maybe 6.5 into the race. So the last 5 I ran myself. And I know once we came into the split, I know the guy who was directing the long the short split said I was in first. I mean, I knew that, but I also wanted confirmation of that as well, because I didn't know if one of those, what was it, like the 4 guys in front of me didn't drop down, because you could drop down today if you wanted to, or you could actually continue on and do more if you wanted to, so you had the option. And that's what I was sort of worried about. One of those 4 guys in front of me for the 25K were going to drop down, and I was going to be screwed because I didn't know it until I finished, but whatever. Other than that, like I said, the course was marked pretty good with pink and silver, or like reflective thing, like tape all over the place, especially at every turn. There's even some arrows pointing you in the right direction on top of the flagging. So I mean, the trail's pretty worn, what we use. So you pretty much have to be dumb to go the wrong way. But I mean, I know it does happen. I've done stuff like that, not paying attention. So I get it if people did get lost today. I'm trying to think here. But yeah, it's so rocky, like, and it is a little bit scary in spots, especially today with like the moisture on the rocks, extra slick. The only good thing about the temperatures today, there wasn't any snakes on the course. I know when I did it a couple years ago, there was a couple rattlesnakes and copperheads on the course. I know I jumped over a couple snakes. I don't remember what they were, but there was at least 4 snakes on the course, if not 6. I can't remember if it was 4 or 6 total, but it was at least 4 when I did it a couple years ago. So I keep that in the back of my mind. But with the weather today, they weren't out, so I'm happy about that. There's a few little bridges on the course. They were a little slick. There was one right past the 1-8 station. It was very sketchy. I tiptoed on that one. And then another one actually went into the little like creek or spring or whatever you want to call it. So I avoided the bridge itself because it just looked too sketchy. There's only a handful of logs actually on the trail today, like a cross that you had to jump over. It is a lot of up and downs, like nice steep ones. You know, you got that 1,000-foot climb to start the race. You're gonna have to go down at least 1,000 feet. So you have to remember that. Wish I would have been able to take some pictures today, because there was some nice like sightseeing type things or views that I wanted to get, but I didn't have that luxury because I didn't know what was going on behind me. And since I was at first, I couldn't risk stopping. And I'm glad I actually didn't, because I only won by like a minute. I'd have to look at the exactly time. Maybe 2 minutes. And second place was coming in, which was kind of shocking. I thought I had a lot more time than I did. Because when I was looking at Ultra Sunup, I think I was projected at like a 2:12. And second place was like a 2:14 or 2:24. I think it might have been 2:24. But yeah, we both came in about 2 hours. Like me, I was just 30 seconds under, and he was like around a minute over 2 hours. So it was very close, and I didn't see him at all the whole race. Even in those like longer sections that you can look back, I was like, all right, I at least got a minute or 2 behind me. So he really caught up, and I really did slow down a little bit those last couple miles, especially on the downhills. Well, last 2.5 miles, I did slow down a lot. There's a nice uphill, but it's pure rock. And I was like, all right, you got a couple miles left. Don't be dumb and trip now and hurt yourself. But actually, that's one of the spots that I fell at, running uphill. I was walking, and then I tried to get going. I don't even know if I kicked a rock. I might have just, like, when I pushed off, I just might have slipped and fell, to be honest with you. But I was just trying to hold on and maintain, because again, not knowing what's behind me or what's coming, you had to be careful, cautious, but at the same time, not completely stopping and letting people catch up. Obviously, I let people catch up more than I should have, but I was running comfortably with no pressure, so I didn't have to turn it on at all, even though I was kind of worried what was happening. But again, when I saw those long stretches and I looked back, there was nobody in view. I was like, all right, you can stay relaxed and run your race. And that's what I was doing the whole time. Sort of watching mileage and elevation. But yeah, overall, I'm glad I did the 11, because I definitely didn't have it for the 25K. The 25K goes up like Shingleton or whatever they call it, town or 10. It's pure climbing over rocks and then down them. And people said it was definitely a lot slicker than normal. So I'm glad I was smart not to attempt something like that. But if I did the 25K, honestly, I would have taken it a lot easier, because there was no chance I was going to beat the winner today. So I would have been running a lot slower and easier and taking my time. Probably would have finished in, I don't know, like 4 hours or 3.5, somewhere in that range. Just because I would have been more cautious. Yeah, whatever. I think any real course details itself. I just keep emphasizing people to be prepared for rocks and roots out the ass. I know when I did this a couple years ago, I vowed never to come back because it just sucked so bad with the rocks and the roots that I was just like, it's just dumb if I ever come back. But here I am a couple years later doing it again, just for the challenge. But also that year it was really hot and everybody was dying, and then afterwards everybody was dying in a little lake that they, or a pond that they have right there at the finish line. They were just jumping right in with all their clothes on and hydration packs and stuff. It was probably like 80 degrees and humid that day, and do all those hills. I think the 25K is like 4,500 feet. This was back before they did the 11.5 mile option. So people were just dying left and right. And just everybody needed to go off. Today, people probably actually needed heaters. A lot of people were cold after the race, wet and cold, because it started to rain. After I finished, it started to rain. So I'm glad I beat it today, because it's definitely one of those cold rains today. The rain itself is super cold, almost freezing. So once you get wet with that cold rain, you're pretty much screwed. I hung around for a couple hours, took some clips after the race. They had some good food today. I had a chicken cheese quesadilla thing, some kind of like that canoe salad. There's baked beans, this really good like white cake. It was like puddingy. They also had veggie burgers and cheeseburgers for people. It's a nice little spread for a race. Ate a bunch of stuff. I don't know, overall it was just a good atmosphere, people talking to one another, no attitudes or anything. as I said last time, I would never go back. And after this time, as much as I want people to support the race, I do enjoy the race director. She's a cool woman. It's just one of those things, if time permits, I'd go back to, just for the challenge itself, not necessarily to race it. Getting too old to risk it, but it is a fun race to at least do once, cross it off your list, and see what I call the most rock populated course in the state of Pennsylvania. So if you get a chance, check out the Rothrock Trail Challenge. It's usually in the middle of May every year. Today happens to be Mother's Day. You won't regret it. You should have some fun as well. I think that's about it. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that.